What is up, guys? Rick Hackus here, and everyone hates Star Wars Battlefront. Now, I made a video similar to this about Black Ops 3 where I felt the game was getting way too much hate than it actually deserved, and it seems that the same thing might be happening for Star Wars Battlefront. Now, what do I mean by this game is getting hate? Well, let's just look at the scores from Metacritic. The critic reviews are 72, and the user score is only 5.0, which is very low for a game hyped up as much as Star Wars Battlefront. Now, I got criticized a little bit last time for using the scores on Metacritic, but it's just a good visual indication of what is happening within the gaming community right now. Again, this game is receiving a ton of hate by the gaming community, for example on Reddit, by even celebrities, by a ton of YouTubers. But is it deserved? And if it is deserved, what can DICE do to fix it, or are people simply overreacting? Now, I'm going to start this video by saying something a little controversial, and that is, I like Star Wars Battlefront. I enjoy playing it. And this is something that I brought up in the Black Ops 3 video, is that I'm a simple man. I like shooting stuff, I like lasers, I like blowing things up, I like Star Wars, and I have fun on Star Wars Battlefront. Does me having fun mean that it's the perfect game? No. Does it mean that it's even worth $60? Absolutely not, and we're going to get into that further into this video. But there's a certain level of just fun about this game. DICE really nailed the graphics, just the way your character moves and acts, the sound design is all just on point, and it really does feel like you're part of a Star Wars battle. However, with that being said, there is an interesting fact that has come out to haunt this game, and it just has to do with the fact that it is a Star Wars game. Now, I actually made a video about the top 10 tips for Battlefront beginners, just helping people new to Star Wars Battlefront, because I knew, and I would turn out to be right, that so many people that purchase Star Wars Battlefront are doing so not because it's made by DICE. They probably don't even really play shooters really at all. Maybe they're more of a Skyrim crowd. Maybe they don't really play a ton of video games. But they're in it for Star Wars. Star Wars is such a massive franchise, and you're bringing so many new gamers into the fray with Star Wars Battlefront. And then they're experiencing this wide open battlefield for the first time. And then Rick Hackus comes over the hill and his ATST, and he's been playing Battlefield games since Battlefield 2, and he absolutely kicks their shit in. And that is definitely one of the downsides of this game, and why it's being hated on so much is because it attracted such a casual crowd. It's a Star Wars game, for goodness sakes. And yet it has a lot of aspects that are just not coherent with a casual community. I brought the ATST up just as an example, but honestly, the fact that you can absolutely push people's shit in with the ATST if you even remotely know what you're doing is just, like, hilarious for you, not hilarious if you've just bought this game, you don't play first-person shooters or third-person shooters, and then some guy who plays nothing but Battlefield finally gets off Battlefield 4 and then is hopping on the ATST and is just never dying and is just massacring your team. DICE should have thought of this. And the way to remedy this is one of the main complaints kind of as well. A lot of people are saying that this game is entirely multiplayer, and they are upset that that's the case. Now, when I first heard this, I thought that that was a little bit ridiculous. I mean, the old Battlefront games really didn't have any sort of campaign at all. You simply played against bots, you did the Conquer the Galaxy thing, but again, you were just playing the multiplayer modes and maps that you would play against normal people. You're just replacing those people with bots. DICE just took out the bots altogether, but again, this was a huge problem. This did not mesh well with the casuals. The casuals, the people who look back fondly on the old Battlefronts, have memories of them sitting down with their friends on the same couch and just mowing down ads together, mowing down bots together in the old Star Wars Battlefronts. And then they hop on to the new Star Wars Battlefront and get absolutely destroyed when they have to verse actual people. And I've seen this a ton in some of the negative reviews. I've seen a lot of people who are dissing this game just suck at it. Like, if you actually look at their scores and the gameplay and stuff, they're terrible at the game. And there is an argument to say, look, if you are bad at the game, it doesn't mean the game is bad, it means you are bad. With that being said though, as I've said, there's so many casuals, there's so many people that are going to be, the bad players, that DICE should have kept the old model of bots. I think that would have really, really helped this game. If you could play Walker Assault with friends, if you could load onto the PS4, get a partner, and even get up to like 8 of your friends, go onto Walker Assault and verse 20 versus 20 with everyone other than your squad of 8 being bots, that would be a ton of fun. If DICE actually did this, it would clearly help out the vast amount of casual players who purchase Star Wars Battlefront that really don't play too many competitive first-person shooters. However, it would also just kind of help, all of us. Not all the time you want to play, sweaty. Sometimes you just want to relax. Sometimes you just want to kill some bots with a friend. And I think that DICE should have been thinking about this. They did implement some sort of round survival game type that really no one plays, and it really isn't very in-depth, and they should have focused. If they're going to do something like this, it should have been a lot more focused and a lot more resources gone into the single player mode. But as it stands now, it's basically play multiplayer or don't play at all. The next massive complaint about this game is definitely that it lacks content. It really only has 4 different worlds you can play on: Hoth, Tatooine, Endor, and this other one that I'm not sure about. It has lava in it. It's pretty cool, but again, those are really only 4 locations. And although if you're playing different game types, you will play different areas of the map. For example, if you're playing, Droid Assault or whatever that game mode is, you're going to play in a certain section of the map that you may not even really visit if you were playing Walker Assault. But even then, these 4 maps start to become very repetitive. And it's unfortunate because these 4 maps are 4 of some of the best maps I've ever played. That Endor map is the best jungle map I've ever played in a multiplayer game. And I'm sorry, but I have to say this, it is so awesome playing on the Endor map. You actually feel like you're in a jungle. You can hide in foliage. You can crouch and hide behind ferns and stuff. It feels, again, like a real jungle. It's just so well designed. The Hoth map, having trenches that kind of you have to go through to get, and you're fighting literally from trench to trench, fighting, clawing your way forward. All of these maps are very, very well designed in my opinion, but I totally agree that having 4 maps just isn't enough. Now, with that being said, at the time of making this video, the Battle of Jakku DLC has kind of just been released. It's available to play if you pre-ordered the game, and that's going to add an entirely new map on Jakku that's going to be thrown into the mix. We'll see if this is really enough to add a breath of fresh air. It'll certainly add a breath of fresh air, but how big of a breath is yet unknown. But again, 4 and even increasing it to 5 maps is very pitiful. Star Wars Battlefront 2 launched with much more maps, and it was also disguised because some of the maps were space maps. People miss those space maps. People miss just loading on and just being able to dogfight each other with those spaceships, and then even further than that, go onto the enemy ship and become an infantryman and try to blow up the ship from the inside. That was a ton of fun, but that was a tactic used back in the day to really kind of disguise what the game was actually offering. If you think back to the old Battlefronts, those space maps, it was funny how you could have Space Kashyyyk and then Space Coruscant, but they really were not very different. It was just 2 ships in space, and it was just a different planet nearby. It was kind of the same map. And, DICE could have kind of done the same thing, but for some reason they chose to forego space battles pretty much entirely. Yes, there is a game type that you can play when you are just completely in the spaceships, but it just isn't the same. Now, I have been dumping on this game for the past while now, but I'm going to switch gears and kind of defend it a little bit. There's something about Star Wars Battlefront, and I touched on it in the beginning of the video, that it's just fun. And it's something that I don't really experience in other games. There's just a smile that comes to your face when you spawn in as Darth Vader and you just smack and get a double kill. You just smile. It's just so fun. Playing as Darth Vader is such an awesome thing to do. And doing other things like blowing up an ATST and, you and your partner pushing forward and taking your team to the next objective. It's just such a fun experience overall. And I feel that this aspect of the game is just a little overlooked. People are taking this game so seriously, you know, and have to come to the top of the leaderboards constantly. But if you just kind of relax, sit back, and just shoot some rebel scum, it becomes a lot more of an enjoyable experience. An experience, again, that you don't really get in other games. When you're playing Black Ops 3, you're not really just having a la-di-da time. You're yelling at the screen most of the time, to be quite honest. And again, this game really isn't like that. So what I'm trying to say is this: Star Wars Battlefront is getting a ton of hate right now, a lot of it rightfully deserved, but some of it not at all. People like to scream about the number of maps in the game, but they're really just upset because they suck. Use your own judgment. If you have a bunch of friends who have bought this game and are loving it, you should get it as well, because it is just at its core a fun game. If you're by yourself and you're on the fence, wait a bit. Wait until a deal, wait until the Legendary Edition that will for sure come out in the future and include the Season's Pass for the same amount of money as the actual game is now, and try to get in on the actual good deal down the line. Now that's it for the video. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please remember to rate and share this video. It really helps me out. And if you want to see more gaming content, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. Now, if you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter. That's linked in the description of this video, as is my Twitch channel, which you can follow as well. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.